Welcome to The Wealthy Wallet. I'm Monika Hengesbach. I'm an enrolled agent, NTPI Fellow, and CEO of Decision Financial Services. And I'm super excited about today's podcast. I actually have here today Kumbi. She's a personal trainer and owner of Leap Fitness. And you're all probably wondering, why in the world would an accounting tax podcast have someone as a personal trainer come on the show? Well, let me tell you, through my own personal lessons, I have realized the importance of personal training, physical activity to help me become more focused and stronger and better to do my job. And I believe it is a very valuable information for every entrepreneur out there to make the time for their own health in the personal fitness world. And so I felt it best to have a knowledgeable person on the podcast to be able to talk about that. And yes, I will put my tax swing on it, so don't you worry. But Kumbi, tell us a little bit about how you got into personal training. Your story is very unique.
Hi, Monika. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. Well, a little bit about myself. So I'm born and raised in Zimbabwe. And when I moved to the United States, I started gaining a ton of weight. And the reason was because I was eating the same way I was eating back home, except now I'm eating in high quantities and not healthy options, of course. And so I struggled to try and lose that weight. And because I struggled and I was able to achieve the weight loss, I decided I needed to make some real behavioral changes and lifestyle changes if I was able to keep my BMI at a healthy state. And so I succeeded to do that. I had 3 children, all of which I gained and lost the weight quite easily. And I decided I wanted to help other people. And it's part of my motivation to do what I do is to actually see someone who's been struggling all their life and they actually take my advice and everything that I have to offer. They follow through and they succeed. It motivates me a lot.
Oh, that's wonderful. So tell us why it's more important to lift weights and do strength training versus cardio, and why is that more important for women in their 50s and older?
Okay, that's a really, really good question. Honestly, I'll preface by saying it depends. Strength training versus cardio depends on the person's goals. So, for example, if your goal is to run a marathon or any kind of race, then obviously you want to prioritize cardio for endurance purposes. But normally I work with my clients. We do strength training because there are a myriad of benefits to it, and especially for women. And I'll start with osteoporosis. Most women in their 50s, actually starting from 40 and above, start to experience losing bone density. And it is very important that they incorporate some type of strength training into their fitness lifestyle. And so 2 to 3 times a week, I would prefer. And then would also add 150 minutes of cardio per week. But definitely strength training is way more beneficial. When you build muscle, your body is able to get into an RMR state, which is your resting metabolic rate, which basically means you're burning calories at rest. So it's very, very important to build muscle. And also, the more muscle you have, the better you're able to perform daily tasks easily without any risk of injury. For example, pushing, lifting, going up and down the stairs, strengthening your tendons and your ligaments is so important for balance purposes. And I'm very big on balance because as you get older, women over 50, 60, 70, chances are if your balance is off, if you fail, you injure yourself, that's really the beginning of the downfall of your body. And I also say importance of strength training is it creates a great body composition because you lose the fat, you build the muscle. Muscle requires less room into the body, so then you create that defined, toned look that everybody likes. And cardio, unfortunately, it doesn't give you that defined look. You can lose weight, you can lean out, but if you want strong muscles and you want to get that nice body, definitely strength training.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she chuckled a little bit on that, and it's because it brought back flashbacks of me working with her, and we were trying to do lunges, I believe, and I couldn't walk the next day, even though I held on to a machine because, well, that balance thing in me, we don't work out. So
Right.
I kind of took that chuckle just a little bit personally because I know it had to be about me, but that's okay. There's many times that I hear women talk about, when you go to Pilates or yoga or something like that, and they talk about that they don't want to do lift weight and because they're afraid they're going to bulk up and they don't want to look manly. What is your thoughts on that? Is there some validity to that fear?
Oh my gosh. No, it's actually a myth. And you know what? There's several reasons why women don't get bulky like men. The first reason is hormonal differences. Men typically have more testosterone than women. And testosterone is the hormone that actually is responsible for muscle growth. So you get, usually like young boys in their 20s, they are more eager to lift weights. They bulk up easily because they have more testosterone. And I see that in my teenage boy. And I have a few teenage clients, boys, and it's quite interesting to see the differences between them and my other teenage girls who typically their workout program is not to be so extensive. It's basically to just lose weight and, calorie deficit. And then another thing is men who are normally competing build their workouts are really extreme versus a woman who's just trying to just lose weight. So there's also already that difference. So the workout is more extreme and then they have a calorie surplus versus a calorie deficit. So again, no way a woman can get that bulky. And then there's also genetic factors. Some women are predisposed to actually bulking up. But then again, even the ones that are predisposed to it, the workout regimen is not going to get them bulky because again, it's usually high reps. Low weight and high reps, then which won't give you that bulky look. And I will add that it's actually deleterious to women's health to tell them that if they lift weights, they'll get bulky. It actually makes me really upset because there are so many benefits to lifting weights. Definitely.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, good. So on that, we're going to move to, of course, we've got to talk about the Ozempic craze, and you hear it all over the internet, the Ozempic face and the butt. And so I'm curious about your opinion on this. I'm curious if that's actually real, this face and butt thing that is going wild across the internet. I couldn't leave that out. I just had to. We have to talk about this.
Yes, Ozempic. So, I'll preface by saying I have no judgment. If people want to take the GLP-1 peptides, which is the Mounjaro, Ozempic, Wegovy, I think there's several of them on the market. It's all personal preference. I will say from my understanding of how they work, these peptides is they help reduce your satiety, which is that feeling of being full. So then you end up eating less. And that's basically putting your body in a medically driven anorexic state without nutrition. So what happens is you're going to lose fat. Then you also lose muscle, which, for women, especially when you lose that elasticity on your face, then you get that saggy skin. So that's where the Ozempic face comes into play. And then, of course, the butt. Your butt is one of the biggest muscles, your legs and butt. So it's mostly fat. So when you lose the fat and you're not doing any type of strength training, you have no muscle. Therefore, you have extra skin and it's sagging. So yeah, it's quite unattractive. But what I will say, though, if you are taking GLP-1s, I suggest you incorporate some type of strength training because especially women 40 plus, again, we come back to that bone density. Yeah. You really definitely need to do that because you're going to lose muscle. And then you know what you're going to speed up is osteoporosis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's not good. So how important is it? I mean, we talk about six-pack abs. We don't need to talk about, how I want to see those eventually. But they always say abs are in the kitchen. They're made in the kitchen.
Right.
How important is nutrition and a fitness regime? Do they go hand in hand, or How does that really work?
Yes, absolutely. I will say abs are definitely made in the kitchen. In fact, the whole body is made in the kitchen, because I hear people asking for spot training. I just want to lose my ab. And, what can I do to lose my abs? And I say, well, you cannot do that. You have to work the whole body. So yes, definitely nutrition is a main factor in your fitness regimen. So the 80-20 rule is true. So if you have to really watch your portions, you have to incorporate whole foods into your eating habits. So I tell my clients quality versus quantity. The more the food is closer to its original state, the better for you. So I'm on a Mediterranean diet. That's how I eat. So I try to tell my clients that, to try it. And the reason why it's a good option to eat the Mediterranean diet is because it's more sustainable and it's less restrictive. So things like lean meats, lots of fish, dairy, nuts, legumes, whole grains, fruits and vegetables. So yes, it's very, very important. So if you're actually lifting weights, I suggest you calculate how much protein you need to incorporate, because protein is very vital macro in your eating. So strength training client, I typically say about 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilograms of your body weight. And an endurance athlete, it's normally between 1.2 to 1.4 grams kilograms per body weight. So again, your eating is also important for your own health. So you prevent being ill. If you get ill, then it gets in the way of your workouts. So it's very important to eat healthy. And also it helps with your mental health. The poorly you eat, the more poorly your mental health will be. So again, it is nutrition and fitness really definitely goes hand in hand.
Sure. Yeah. That makes sense. And they have a lot of apps out there that one can track.
Yes, absolutely. My clients, I have them use First Form. It's cheaper than MyFitnessPal, and it's, to me, and for most of my clients, it's easier to navigate. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. And you brought it up. So fitness and mental health, how do they go together?
Oh my gosh, they are. So I think, honestly, the reason why most people are depressed in this world is because they lack movement. And cardio and strength training, yoga, Pilates, any type of movement you do with your body, your brain releases endorphins, which are the natural painkillers that help elevate your mood. And then what else happens when you move your body is your body now has the ability to suppress the secretion of cortisol, which is a stress hormone. So fitness and mental health definitely go hand in hand. You also have better sleep when you're working out. And what happens when you sleep good? You have better mood, mental clarity. Things seem much easier. Your mind is much more sharper. You're not struggling, no fogginess. So that's also part of mental health.
Perfect. So it's really vital, in my opinion, that entrepreneurs or business owners, we always come up with an excuse that we can't make the time. Work's got to come first, or we're barely spending time with family, or we're doing this, we're sort of burning the candles at both ends. Right. But really, if we're not making that time, we're also, for ourselves, working out, right, getting stronger, we're also adversely affecting our mental health, which is going to slow us down in our work.
Yes, absolutely. You brush your teeth, you floss your teeth, you eat breakfast, you need to move the body. It's just as important.
Perfect. Yeah, that's good. That's really great. So if someone is starting out in their own sort of on a fitness routine, what are some tips you would recommend for them?
Okay. Well, I always say start with your why. First and foremost, why is this important for you to do? And the reason I say that is because when things get difficult for you, because you're not always going to be in the mood to go to the gym, you're not always going to be in the mood to go for a run, you're not always going to be in the mood to go to the studio, to move your body. When that happens, you need to go back and look at the reason why you decided to do this. Is it for yourself? Is it for someone else? And chances are, if it's for somebody else, you're most likely not going to win that battle. It needs to be for yourself. And it needs to be a big why. And the second thing I say is you need to figure out your goals. So, and they need to be SMART goals. They need to be specific. They need to be measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound, which is basically make sure you have, you know exactly what you want to do. So if you, again, I'll use the marathon example. If you're a marathon runner, or you want to be running in a race for some reason, obviously you're not going to prioritize chest press. You're going to prioritize working on your endurance. So another reason why you need to also be specific on what you're trying to do with your goals for starting in the fitness world. And then the third thing I say is you need to be consistent and you need to be patient. You need to stick with it. You need to trust the process and you need to find joy in the process. And you do this by celebrating the small wins. So for example, the first 2 weeks, you're most likely not going to see any differences in your body, of course, but things that you'll be able to notice, like sleeping better, maybe even you've made it to the 10th session of your workout, you need to celebrate that win. And that's how you find joy in the process. And
I'll ice cream, celebrate with me.
Absolutely no ice cream. Definitely a protein shake, 30 grams to be specific. But then also I'll add another thing. You need to hire an experienced personal trainer.
Yes, definitely. And trust me on that. Is there anything that you would like to add that I didn't ask?
No, I think we covered it all. I will go back to the nutrition aspect of fitness. I always noticed a lot of people struggle with snacking. And I just want to add that make sure you have healthy snacks available to you. So like things like hummus, Greek yogurt, some nuts, some fruits, always available at your disposal. And I always advise my clients to not go more than 4 or 5 hours without eating a meal. Because what happens is you become ravenous and you, again, if you're not planned, you don't have any meals in your refrigerator, chances are you're going to end up eating and consuming something that's fast and easy, which most likely will not be a healthy option. So, and I also want to add the importance of rest whilst you are doing your fitness regimen. Don't overdo it. Don't push yourself. Rest is just as important as lifting. It's just as important as cardio, as yoga, as Pilates. And I also suggest start by walking at least 10,000 steps a day, add some stretching after your workouts, and most importantly, track your foods. Because when you see it on paper, it makes a huge difference.
So what do you just to add, what would you tell people? We're a society of instantaneous results. That's why women go to health spas and they do Botox and they do all that versus taking hours just for a face, a skin clear regimen.
Right.
We've always want to see things immediately. What do you say to those people? Because they're gonna immediately think that I'm gonna come and see you, and so I expect that within 2 weeks,
right,
I'm gonna notice definition, and they don't. What would you say to that for those people that are in that belief of instant
gratification? Yes. So what I say is, it took you months and weeks to gain that weight. It's not going to take you 2 days, 3 days, 10 days to lose it. So the same amount of time it took to gain, you need to remember that it's going to take pretty much almost the same amount of time to lose. So again, you need to be patient and you need to still be consistent and you need to trust the process.
That's good advice. Thank you. So, as I promised, there is going to be a tax spin on this. And if you go to your doctor and your doctor recommends for your health, whether it's possibly that you are obese or you work in a very stressful environment and they have made the recommendation that you get a gym membership, that recommendation and those costs that you would incur paying for a gym membership, paying for personal training sessions, anything in relation to fitness Even a swimming pool, if the doctor advised you that you needed to go swimming and recommended that you had a swimming pool, all those expenses are now deemed medical expenses, and they can be written off as an itemized deduction on your tax return. And better yet, because you have a doctor's note, if you have an HSA, a health savings account, you could submit your personal training invoices, your gym membership invoices to your HSA and get reimbursed back those expenses. That is for someone that is not self-employed, doesn't have their own business, just is out there working away. That is a route that you can take. Now, for my entrepreneurs that have their own businesses, you can have an employee benefit plan that offers personal training, gym membership. We were just talking before we even started this podcast, the importance of spas, of steam, infrared, all of that. You can actually write those costs against your business income because they're an employee benefit. The key component is you have to offer it to all your employees. So if you're a company of one, it's just yours. If it's a company of two, husband and wife, it's still family related. So those are all the wonderful options that you can utilize to turn something that can positively affect you in your day-to-day that normally wouldn't be considered a write-off, a write-off. And so, Kumbi, I thank you so much for being on here. Your wisdom was absolutely valuable. How could someone get a hold of you to sign up for personal training, talk a little bit more? How can we reach out to you?
Okay, so I have a Facebook page. It's Leap Fitness. So LEAP and then the word fitness. I also have an Instagram account. Again, Leap Fitness, all together, one word. I also have an email. You can reach me at kxmoretta@gmail.com.
Wonderful. Well, we'll have that posted on the podcast for you guys to find it. I definitely highly recommend Kumbi. She is actually the gal that, believe it or not, got me started back to working out. She was extremely patient with me, and trust me, if she could get this girl wanting to do this stuff, she could work with all of you. So a little nugget about next podcast. Yes, you're going to find we have, as I call it, torture in the workout world here this time around. Next podcast, we're actually going to have Leslie Barrows with the Barrows Law Firm on. She's a highly accredited divorce attorney. She's going to come on here and talk about the pains of going through a divorce and how couples may be able to better protect themselves to prevent it, things that we don't think about when we're going through something like that. But again, Kumbi, thank you so much. Your wisdom was absolutely valuable, and I truly appreciate you being on this podcast.
Thank you so much, Monika.
Thank you. And goodbye from the Wealthy Wallet.